All right, so in this episode, I'm going to show you how to use AI so you can customize your resume and your cover letter so you can get an interview. Here's the truth. Most resumes don't see a person anymore. They go through ATS, a computerized system that filters out resumes based on keywords. If your resume is badly designed, you don't pass and you're done.
And right now, with thousands of layoffs happening, you need an edge. You're competing against top-tier candidates to get a few jobs, so sending that generic resume won't work. Yep, there's a ton of AI tools out there that will optimize your resume, but they don't guarantee privacy. Are you really in control? So what I'm going to show you next is different. We are actually going to use AI to spy on the company you're applying to. We're going to find out how they talk, what are they saying, and what hiring managers care about. Basically, we're going to reverse engineer their culture onto your resume, so when they see it, you sound like you belong there. And the best part? You stay in control. Your data stays yours. No black box.
So buckle up and let's start spying. Hi, my name is Christian, and welcome to Creating Job Security by Mastering the AI Superstack.
Before we can dive into AI, customizing your resume and cover letter, we need to talk about ATS. ATS is a practice used by companies to parse your resume from left to right in a digital reading process. Many people, including me, at one point think that a beautiful looking resume makes a difference. Unfortunately, that is no longer the case because most resumes are digitally processed before they ever reach a human. Therefore, many people never get an interview because they cannot get past the ATS reader. You can check your resume to see if it's ATS friendly by Googling ATS Resume Checker. And you can download an ATS friendly template also by using Google search. Now that you understand the difference between ATS and non-ATS format, we need to explain the next point, which is tokens. I'm always talking about tokens in my videos since it's one of the ways that AI charges for usage. And I have an episode on how to manage tokens once you get laid off, and you should watch that video. If you convert your resume into an ATS-friendly format, the AI will spend less time and effort reading your resume, and that means you get more AI for less. If you're laid off, your AI consumption will increase, and at the same time, your budget will decrease. So token utilization becomes key after layoff. So the first step, and before you move forward in customizing your resume, is to make it ATS friendly. The next thing we need to discuss is the architecture in which you will customize your resume. I don't want you to feel intimidated by the word architecture. After all, the use of prompts is very easy. But the more you understand, the better you will become at using AI. The AI Superstack is a family of AI models and companies that excel at one thing more than the others. For example, Gemini is owned by Google and therefore excels at getting Google results in your AI prompts. Claude is better for code, and Grok is better for social media, and so on. That being said, we also want to minimize token usage, so we're going to use a technique called prompt chaining, which is designed to minimize token usage by breaking large prompts into smaller ones, and at the same time take advantage of what each AI model does best. So in this architecture, we're going to utilize Gemini and Grok to find out as much as we can about the company and role you're applying for, and extract the keywords and skills that could benefit your resume or cover letter or give you an edge while applying. Once we get that information, we will customize your resume with ChatGPT or Claude using free accounts, or only Claude using paid accounts. What is the difference, you might ask? Like I mentioned before, free accounts give you limited requests or tokens when customizing your resume, and that means two things. You might only be able to customize your resume a few times a day with a free AI account. It also means you might have to copy and paste from the AI prompt results into your Word document because the regeneration of a Word document takes time and uses a lot of tokens. On the other hand, if you use a paid account, my experience that Claude does a good job at modifying Word documents with the customizations you need. And that means that Claude will use a lot of tokens to accomplish this task. So the first prompt we're going to look at is Grok's. Remember that Grok AI is designed to search social media and extract information. And the success of Grok's effort will be based on the amount of information available for that company you're applying for. So the bigger the company, the more it will find. And the prompt is designed to give you a competitive edge in job applications. Instead of guessing what the company wants, it pulls real language directly from their leaders, employees, and social media activity. It analyzes how the company communicates, what they prioritize, and how people in your target role actually describe their work. Then it turns that into usable insights, including exact phrases you can plug into your resume or cover letter. The goal is simple. Make your application sound like it really belongs inside that company. Not generic, not guessed, aligned, targeted, and data-driven. So the time has come to run the prompt. And the first thing I want to mention is that we're going to use my resume, which is a technical resume, for this video tutorial. And this prompt should work for any type of career out there, for sales, marketing, management, etc. So let's select the prompt. So I'm using Visual Studio Code, but you really can use any text editor. You can use Notepad, etc. So I copy the prompt and let's go to Grok. And now I have Grok maximized to the biggest font possible. And the reason why I'm doing that is for the video. So let's run it. Okay, so here's what is the company name. So I'm going to choose Microsoft. Okay. And then what role? So I'm going to put a senior .NET developer. And let's see what it's able to find. And there we go. Actually, it ran pretty fast because Microsoft is a very big company. So it is able to find everything right away. So if we look through the content, it basically, this is the messaging that it found in social media. Some of the signature leadership language and phrasing that it found. So look, it found the CEO, X account. And you see, we're in the midst of a generational shift with AI. So that's something that your resume needs to have, something that your cover letter needs to have. And that's basically what we're doing here. We're basically spying. We're spying on what the leadership of the company, the hiring managers, and the employees are saying. And we're going to utilize that in our cover letter and our resume. And look at this. So this is the key terminology for my role that I should have in my resume. And that's exactly what this prompt is designed to do. It's designed to go out there and find the best words, the best keywords, the best phrases, so you can utilize that in your resume. So that's very good. The next prompt we're going to look at is Gemini's. Now, this prompt is much shorter, and you need to remember that Gemini is owned by Google, and therefore it will use Google search to gather the information. This means it could reach information not gathered by Grok's prompt, but at the same time, the potential for overlapping information exists. So I think running this prompt is optional, but still valuable. Just like Grok, the purpose of this prompt is to turn a generic job application into a highly targeted, insider-informed resume and cover letter by forcing the AI to gather the right inputs first and then extract real company signals, news, language, positioning, and pain points so you can align directly with what the employer actually needs. So the time has come to run the Gemini prompt. So I'm going to select everything, copy it. Let's go to Gemini and run it. Remember, I'm using my own resume, so I'm going to continue using the same company, which is Microsoft. And this time it's going to be senior .NET developer. And you can use any career here. Now, the difference between Grok and Gemini is going to ask me a full job description. So I went to the Microsoft job website and I found this description. Now, it's very important that you don't copy everything. You just copy responsibilities, qualifications, and up to here. You don't want to copy salary or anything like that, because the more information, the costlier it will be for the AI to produce results. So let's see what Gemini is able to grab using the web. So there you go. So it's very similar, like I mentioned, it's very similar to Grok's results, but it's using a different source to get the information. Okay, and that is the key. So it's not looking at X because that's what Grok does, but it's looking at Google. And so Grok cannot look at Google as well as Gemini. So you need to understand there's two different sources being searched. And that's exactly what we want to accomplish here. So like I said, this is optional, but it's still valuable. So you should use both. So let's take a quick look at the prompt to optimize your resume using a free AI account. The first thing I want to point out is that this prompt is designed to give you the maximum value using a free AI account. And that means you can only use it every 5 hours in a single free AI account. So I encourage you to have multiple free ChatGPT accounts, and you can Google how to accomplish that. It's very easy. Because once you generate your optimized resume, your free ChatGPT account will not be available for the next 5 hours. In phase 1 of this prompt, we're going to bring in outside intelligence like company signals, employee language, and real-world sentiment, so your resume reflects how the company actually operates, not just what the job post says. And that is why we executed those prompts in Gemini and Grok before optimizing your resume. Phase 2 identifies what truly matters in this role, separating high priority skills from filler, so your resume focuses on what actually drives hiring decisions. So phase 3 maps your experience directly against the job requirements, showing where you're strong and where you need to reposition or strengthen your story. Phase 4 translates your language into an exact terminology employers use, improving both system matching and human readability. Phase 5 evaluates how your resume performs in an application tracking system. Yes, we're making sure you get an interview by identifying missing keywords, formatting risks, and structural issues that could block you. Phase 6 refines your skills section by removing low-value items and prioritizing tools, technologies, and certifications that are actually relevant to the role. Phase 7 identifies gaps, whether those gaps are skills, timelines, or career shifts, and reframes them so they don't become red flags. Phase 8 upgrades your experience into measurable impact, turning vague responsibilities into clear result-driven achievements. Phase 9 reorders your experience so the most relevant and impactful information appears first, matching how recruiters actually scan resumes. Phase 10 adjusts tone and positioning based on your seniority, so your resume reads like the level you're targeting. Phase 11 builds a clear story that connects your past experience to the role you're applying for. Phase 12 anchors your market value so you understand where you stand and supports top compensation. Phase 13 shows how your skills compares to candidates at competing companies, helping you position yourself more strategically. Phase 14 compares your profile to the type of candidates companies typically hire for this role, highlighting gaps and advantages. And finally, the last step, Phase 15, simulates a real recruiter's first impression, giving you a score, strengths, weaknesses, and a higher recommendation. So the time has come to run this prompt. So this prompt takes several minutes to run, and I'm not going to record every single step that I did, but I'm going to explain what I did in kind of a summary mode. So the first thing I did was to copy the prompt and I went to my free ChatGPT account and I pasted that prompt. So the first question the prompt had was, what was the target company name? And I said Microsoft. And then it asked me for the title. And I said senior .NET engineer, like we've done in the previous parts of this video. And then it asked me for the job posting. So I went to the same job posting and I copied only the responsibilities and the qualifications. After pasting the job posting, it asked me for my resume. So I went to my best looking resume, the one that's ATS compliant. I copied it and I also pasted it inside the executing prompt. So the next question after that is, what was my target salary range? And I said skip. So now comes to the intelligence parts. The first one was the Gemini intelligence report. So I went back to Gemini and I copied the intelligence report that we got earlier in this video. And then after that, it asked me for the Grok and I also copied that. So it ran both. So after running the company name, the title, the description, my resume, the expected salary range, which I said to skip, and the two intelligence reports, it started giving me all the tips. So the first thing it told me is to move these keywords up. Okay, high priority. So those are the keywords that match the job posting. Okay, and then it started saying, hey, these are the matching experience. So this is what needs to be important in your resume, right? And so translation. So I originally said architect and develop enterprise level lead management system. And then it told me to change that to design and build distributed systems. So that's the beauty of this prompt, right? And the beauty of using the intelligence reports gathered by Gemini and Grok. And so it starts giving me an ATS score. It tells me that if there's any format compliance reports, so that's the formatting of the actual Word document. And then it tells me what skills to keep and remove. It tells me the gap. So you need to bridge or reframe. And it actually rewrites the resume for me. So look, here's my new resume that is tailored towards that job posting. And you can copy this. You can highlight this section right here. You can just go from here and highlight everything that you want. And you can open a new Word document. If I copy this and I go to Word and I go File New, and there you have it. And so you see, this is an ATS resume that's tailored towards that job posting. But after doing that, it gives you an ATS score. So it says like this is 100% compliant, and it tells you, what your salary range should be. And then it gives you some competitor intelligence, right? What all these people are doing in other companies that are similar to that job posting. And then some recruiter pattern match table, which shows you what people are expecting, if it's an advantage, a strong advantage, right? And it gives you a lot of other information, like it's trying to simulate that it's a recruiter and it's running a report, and it even gives you top talking points. So if you gather in a first interview with a recruiter, you can talk about these things. And basically that's it. So it's a really powerful prompt. And I didn't run it live because the video would get just too long. So here you have it. So the time has come to run the paid Claude Resume Optimizer. And I want to show you that it's almost identical to the first prompt. And for that, we're going to use WinMerge, which is a compare tool. So on the left right here, you see the free prompt, and on the right is the paid prompt. I mean, paid account prompt. So you're not paying for the prompts. The prompts are free. And if you scroll down, you will see that both prompts are identical, but the Claude prompt can actually create a Word document, and you're paying for this. This is not free. So if you try to run this in a free account, you are going to have trouble because this takes a lot of tokens to generate. So let's run the test. And I already answer all the questions and the last question, which is the Grok intelligence. So let's run it. So there you have it. It generated the Word document, and you're basically paying for convenience here, right? It's nicely formatted. So you're going to save a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes formatting your resume. Just so you know, you can actually run the prompt that we created for ChatGPT, which was using the free account. You can also run that inside a paid Claude account. So if you don't want to use your tokens for a nicely formatted resume, you can run the free version inside a paid account. You can do that. But this is very nice because now I can download it either clicking this button here, or I can download it here. And so it's going to save me 10, 15 minutes. And so if you're applying for 10, 20 jobs a day, I would use the paid version. And just so you're aware, creating a Word document takes a lot of tokens. So even with paid accounts, you're going to have limits. Okay, it's time to run the cover letter optimizer. And I have two prompts. I have one that you can use in a free ChatGPT account, which you're going to have to copy and paste from the prompt results into Word. And then I have the paid Claude cover letter optimizer, which will generate a Word document. And if you compare both prompts, the only difference, just like in the resume optimizer, is that the Claude will generate a Word document automatically. Okay, so let me show you what happens. So when I run the cover letter optimizer, I pasted the prompt, and it basically worked very similar to the resume optimizer, and it started asking me for the same types of questions, like, for example, what was the job title, the company, then the job posting, and then after that, it asked me for my resume. Now, which resume did I use? I used the one that was optimized, right? So we ran the resume optimizer right before running the cover letter. So that is the order, and you have to accomplish this. First, you optimize your resume to ATS, and then you optimize that ATS resume into one that is specifically customized for the job posting that you're applying to. And once you have that resume, you're going to run the cover letter using that resume. Okay. And then after you run that resume, it asks me for a bunch of other questions like the top 5 talking points. So where do I get that? So in the resume optimizer at the very bottom, you're going to see the 5 talking points. So it's step number 14. It's right here. You're going to have to grab this information, copy it, and then paste it into the cover letter optimizer. Okay. And then it asks me for my name and the hiring manager, which I said I don't know, my target salary, and then it asked me for the 2 intelligence reports, okay, which is Gemini and Grok's, okay. So once I pasted that, it gave me a bunch of pointers about my cover letter, which include an intelligence brief and how to position myself. But at the end, what you really want out of this is the cover letter, and it starts right here. So if you're using the free account, you're going to have to grab this cover letter, and you're going to have to copy it and paste it into Word. Now, if you have a paid account, okay, like in Claude, I ran the prompt that is for the paid Claude account. And again, you're paying for convenience, and Claude created a Word document that I can download, so I don't have to do anything. So if you take in consideration the customization of the resume that you have to format into Word and the cover letter, you're saving about 20 minutes per resume. So if you're applying for 10 resumes, that's 200 minutes. Okay. So it might be worth getting a Claude paid account in order to accomplish this. Now, if you're applying for only 1 job a day, then the free accounts are going to do, or even 3 jobs a day. That's still worth it using the free accounts. But if you're going 10, 20 jobs a day, get Claude, get paid. And so that does it for the cover letter. I always like to show people how to download the prompts. So I'm going to include this link in the video description below and YouTube. And once you make it to this website, this is called GitHub, and it works just like any other website in the world. So don't be intimidated. You're going to choose the language that you want, and you have several options to download the prompts. You can either click on the full download zip, and once you're inside, you're going to click on this icon, and that will download it to your download folder. That is option number 1. If you want to download individual prompts, you can click on the prompt, and you can also click on the download icon, and that will download just 1 prompt at a time. Now, if you want to copy and paste, you can click on the code button first, and then you can select everything inside that prompt, and then right-click on it and select copy, and now you can paste it inside any text editor that you have installed on your computer. And those are the 3 ways you can download the prompts. Here are my final thoughts. The resume optimizer is extremely powerful, and it gives you a lot of options. So even if you apply for any job, you should keep a copy of all the results that are in the resume optimizer, because you might need those notes if you get called for an interview. On the other hand, the cover letter optimizer worked well, but it's a much simpler process, and the results are much easier to read and absorb. And also be aware that if your prospect employer is using ATS, that cover letter might not have any impact whatsoever. Unfortunately, both prompts, they use a lot of tokens. So if I were you, and this is only a recommendation, I don't know what your situation is, I would recommend getting a paid Claude account. It's going to save you a lot of headache, and it's going to be easier to process, but you have both options. And please, if you get a job using one of my prompts, please share. Come back to the channel and give me a like, and hopefully leave a comment. Thank you for watching.